Hello, darlings. And now it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamin's headlines.
Our headline here comes today from Magnify Money, the Magnify Money blog. Of course, Magnify Money, a sponsor of the show, but not why we like the blog. And I've explained this, I think, before, but we asked Magnify Money to sponsor us a long time ago because we like what they do so much. And OG, they're our longest running
way before we were cool and way after they were cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. They were tiny. We were tiny, but they were incredible then, still incredible now. Julie Ryan Evans wrote this piece, and it's a study that they did. She wrote a piece outlining the study that they did on where you need more than $1 million to retire in the United States.
Okay. Besides the OG household.
That's more like 6 million. Yes. And that's just what you charge people to retire there, right? That's just what you charge people, the entry fee
club
to get into. Yeah, it's going to be $6 million. Oh, that's what it cost me to retire? No, that's what it costs you to retire at my house. So you're renting out the rooms.
The Airbnb fee.
She writes, location. It's no surprise where you live would make a big difference in how much money you need to retire there. What is interesting / frightening / reassuring, pick your adjective, is just how big of a nest egg retirees need to retire in various locales. You know, what was even more scary about this was to use the financial geek phrase, the standard deviation on these, OG, like the difference in these cities. You'll need more than $1 million to retire with an average lifestyle in 28 of the 384 U.S. metros. A retiree in San Francisco needs a nest egg on average of $1.564 million. That's the highest in the U.S. Not a surprise,
but doable.
But also not a surprise that would be number one.
I mean, I thought you were going to whip out like a $3 million number. If that one's the biggest.
No, and these
5. I mean, that's a realm of possibilities.
And I know the 4% rule. I know the 4% rule has changed, but that's not lifestyles of the rich and famous either. I mean, this is not a big lifestyle. That's about $60,000 a year plus whatever you get from Social Security on top of that. So maybe looking at 80, 85.
Yeah, I mean, putting food on the table.
Yeah. I mean, you can make it work on 85,000. 14 of the 28 metros in which retirees need more than $1 million to retire are in which state?
California.
Yeah. And by the way, did you see
California?
Did you see the number? Is that your Arnold? Arnold.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. California also had the biggest number of exits this year, by the way, the biggest net migration out.
They were net out. I think I saw Illinois was.
New York was number 2. Probably. I know that. California's number 1.
I think New York is still like that ebb and flow between New York and Florida, right?
It's like a super highway. You get to a certain age and you're in New York, you're contractually obligated to move to Florida.
I think so. Fast pass at Disney.
It totally is. Oh, I'm sorry. Sir, you're 64. You should be in Boca. What are you doing? And listen to this. Least expensive metro of the 384 cities they looked at is a city that I drive through often when I'm road tripping between Texarkana and relatives in the Midwest, Jackson, Tennessee. Tennessee, you can make it work on $495,000.
Town?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it every time I've stayed there and I've gone on, runs in the morning before I got back on the road, there's plenty of Civil War battlefields around there to explore. Lots of history. There is the Casey Jones Museum is there. So if you're interested in railroads, just some fascinating stuff. A minor league baseball team in town with a nice little stadium, $500,000. Danville, Illinois, by the way, was second at 510, and
Danville, Texas, Illinois, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Danville, Indiana. Cool town.
Yeah, this is across the border. It's like Texarkana, Arkansas.
I don't think so. But
okay. No. Probably not. And 2 Texas towns, McAllen and Brownsville, were both at 500 and 13.
McAllen. It's not McAllen. It's McAllen.
It's McAllen. Like I'd like a McAllen with cheese, please. No?
Oh boy.
I heard those are delicious. When you look at these numbers though, so I have these 2 competing thoughts. Number 1, you haven't done a phenomenal job of saving. We now have technology that will allow you to hang out with people online. You know, had we moved to Texas from Michigan, instead of 12 years ago, 30 years ago, it would have been, OG, like moving to the moon. We would have had to write letters to people, make long distance phone calls that cost you $1 bajillion to talk to people. Now my daughter is in Japan. My son is in Seattle. We will have family chats on Zoom where it looks like they're in the next room, you know, that they're upstairs talking to mom instead of halfway around the world.
That's how I communicate with my kids now. They are literally in the next room and we FaceTime them. Boys, it's dinner time. What? I can't hear you. I'm playing video games.
We are very quickly becoming Wall-E, aren't we? Where we can't even be bothered to get up. Like, oh, I could walk over there and tell them that it's dinner time. But instead,
oh no, we yell.
Oh, you do?
Dinner. But they get the headphones on with the surround sound. And William got a VR goggles for Christmas this year, which, let me tell you a little something. They are super cool if you're the person wearing them, and you look like a total idiot if you're the person, if you're watching somebody do it. Because in your mind, like what you see is 2 lightsabers and you're listening to dance music and you're like chopping up blocks, like based on the beat of the music. It's like boom, 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 you know?
Yeah.
And everybody else just sees you flailing around with this big contraption on your head.
Did you see the one? This is a couple of years old, but the one where they gave grandma the VR goggles and she was on a roller coaster.
Oh yeah. Totally.
And she's like
sick.
falling out of her chair.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It's bizarre how lifelike that stuff is.
But to your point, we can be around family and be in some of these faraway places. Do you move to make it so that you can have a better standard of living? Do you move to a place like Danville or Jackson or McAllen with cheese?
I mean, I don't see why, if you're still not considering it, the lifestyle move, not necessarily for the money component, although that's a part of it, but lifestyle in terms of like what you really want to do. I mean, what are we on, year freaking 3 of COVID now? But if you haven't considered your lifestyle experience, money is component of that, how much money you make or how your lifestyle can be and that sort of thing. But all the other stuff that goes into your lifestyle decision, weather. I mean, people ask us all the time, like, oh, so you guys been in Texas now 8 years. Now, what made you move? And I'm like, the weather. Really? What? Like, no, it was snowing and we were tired of it. So we wanted to go to a place that had less likelihood of that, and so there's that. There's the activities that you enjoy. Are you a beach person or are you a mountain person? Are you a hiking person? Are you a biking person? Those sorts of things. Schools for kids, if that's, still in your life right now, being close to other family, I mean, to your point, you can Zoom everybody and that's super cool, but there's something about being close to mom or dad, especially, as years go on. So if you haven't thought about that yet, I think that this is a good example of there's 1,000 places between where you are right now and the other side of the country that you could pick up and go to. And especially now with jobs increasingly staying more remote. I don't see why it's not something more people are considering.
This is something I'm really on the fence about, because when we moved back from Texas to Detroit, the one thing that I didn't realize, because of all this technology, I thought it would be an easy move and I'd be able to still hang out with my Texarkana friends. And I'll tell you that Zoom is fine and text messaging is fine and playing video games together over long distances is fine. But man, there's nothing like being in the same room or being, around the same campfire or whatever it is. And for me, moving back to Texarkana, where our adopted quote family is, it's not where my family is that I grew up with, but the family that we kind of created, our friends here, was such a move, and it was important to move back, that I feel like sometimes these location moves, you move to Jackson, Tennessee, and maybe you'll make new friends there, OG, maybe you don't, but I feel like we kind of discount the people that are in our lives and the opportunities of that. I think it's especially dangerous to move out of a place like, and you talk about in San Francisco now, a lot of these people can work from anywhere, right? And the job's virtual. But there's also something to be said for showing up at the office where the boss is from time to time and going to lunch with your boss, because being in the same place and being in a place where they can see you and they network with you, like I feel like that doesn't translate as well as it could to an online experience.
Yeah. I mean, being in the proximity of, they say the proximity of power, right? I mean, if you're trying to move up in your career, you better make sure that you're visible. And visible may be in person, going to lunch with the boss, but it could also be, making sure that you're keeping your superiors aware of what's going on. It's like the phrase, if the tree falls in the wood, does anybody hear it? Right? If you do good work for your company and nobody knows you did it, does it count? And the answer is probably not. So regardless of whether or not you're close or if you're not close, from a career standpoint, I think you have to be cognizant of keeping an inventory of the good work that you do, so you can use that.
Yeah, I think there's more to it than just standard of living is really, it sounds like, where we both come down on this. And one thing I felt lucky to do when we were homeless and living a more nomadic lifestyle was I got to play test it. And you and I have talked about this before. If you like an area, maybe find a way to take a month off work and live there for a little bit longer than a week or 2 weeks, and try to get into the community a little bit, whatever, organizations you plan on joining, go sit in on those things and see,
Right.
get into the community a little bit. But I definitely learned that living in new places, while I enjoy visiting new places, living in new places for me wasn't the exciting thing I thought it was going to be. I actually hated it. I really wanted a
Told you
home.
so.
Yeah, I totally wanted a home. But that's going to be different for everybody. So
Right. I agree.
play test it.